There is a mistake people make when they think about destroying an enemy. They imagine confrontation, they imagine arguments, revenge, humiliation, and the satisfaction of watching the other person fall. The first rule is simple: never fight your enemy on their battlefield. Most people lose conflicts before the real battle even begins because they accept the conditions created by the other person. An enemy may provoke you into an argument, insult you in front of others, question your character, or deliberately push the exact buttons they know will make you angry. Their real objective is not always to defeat you through facts or strength. Sometimes their objective is to make you lose control. Once you become emotional, you become predictable. And when you become predictable, you become easy to manipulate. Think about how much power a person gains when they know exactly how you will react. If they insult you and you immediately respond, they have discovered a button they can press. If they criticize you and you spend hours defending yourself, they have learned that you need their approval. If they provoke you and you reveal your anger, you have given them information about yourself without them having to ask for it. This is why emotional control is not weakness. It is protection. Your enemy wants you to believe that strength means responding to everything. It does not. Real strength is having the ability to respond, but choosing when a response is actually necessary. There is a difference between being silent because you are afraid and being silent because you understand that your attention is valuable. One is weakness. The other is control. When someone tries to drag you into their world of anger, do not follow them. If they raise their voice, lower yours. If they become emotional, become more observant. If they demand an immediate reaction, give yourself time to think. A calm mind sees things that an angry mind cannot see. Anger narrows your vision. Calmness expands it. Imagine two people entering a conflict. One is desperate to prove that they are right. The other is watching carefully, listening to every word, noticing every reaction, and refusing to become emotionally trapped. Who has more control? The person who speaks the loudest may appear powerful, but the person who remains composed often has the greater advantage. This does not mean allowing people to disrespect you or accepting harmful behavior. It means choosing your battlefield instead of allowing someone else to choose it for you. Sometimes the correct response is a firm boundary. Sometimes it is walking away. Sometimes it is documenting what happened and handling the situation through the appropriate channel. And sometimes the strongest response is simply refusing to participate in pointless conflict. Never let another person turn your emotions into a weapon against you. Before responding, ask yourself 3 questions. What are they trying to make me feel? What reaction do they want from me? And what response actually serves my long-term interests? Those questions can change everything. Your enemy may expect anger. Give them composure. They may expect desperation. Give them patience. They may expect you to reveal your plans. Give them nothing unnecessary. The less predictable you become, the less control they have over you. The goal is not to become cold or cruel. The goal is to become difficult to manipulate. A disciplined person does not surrender their peace simply because someone else has decided to create chaos. When you refuse to fight on your enemy's battlefield, you force them into an uncomfortable position. They can no longer control the rhythm of the conflict. They cannot decide when you become angry, when you speak, or when you act. You have taken back the most important advantage, control over yourself. And once you control yourself, another person has far less power over you. The second rule is to observe more than you speak. Most people are in such a hurry to respond that they miss the information being given to them. They hear an insult and immediately defend themselves. They notice a suspicious action and immediately confront the person. They discover that someone is working against them and immediately announce that they know. In doing so, they often reveal more about themselves than the other person ever revealed about them. Observation requires patience. When you stop reacting to every word, you begin noticing patterns. You start seeing what people repeatedly do rather than what they claim they do. Words can be carefully chosen, but patterns are much harder to hide. Someone may say they support you, yet constantly undermine your decisions. Someone may call themselves loyal, yet disappear whenever you need them. Someone may pretend not to care, yet constantly monitor what you are doing. Their behavior can tell you what their words are trying to conceal. This is why you should never judge a person by one moment alone. Watch the pattern. Watch how they treat people who cannot benefit them. Watch how they behave when they lose control. Watch how they react when someone else succeeds. Watch what happens when they are told no. Character often becomes visible when circumstances stop being convenient. But observation does not mean becoming paranoid. You do not need to assume that everyone is your enemy. You simply need to become more aware. There is a difference between awareness and suspicion. Awareness looks at evidence. Suspicion creates stories without evidence. A disciplined mind does not accuse people based on imagination. It watches, collects information, and waits for clarity. Silence can help you do this. When you speak less, other people often speak more. They may fill the silence because they feel uncomfortable. They may explain themselves unnecessarily. They may reveal their intentions without realizing it. The person who constantly talks gives away information, while the person who listens has the opportunity to understand. This is especially important during conflict. When someone attacks you verbally, you do not have to answer every accusation. Listen carefully. What exactly are they saying? What are they avoiding? What emotion is driving them? Are they trying to solve a problem, or are they trying to provoke you? Are they looking for truth, or are they looking for a reaction? The answers matter. Sometimes your enemy will reveal their strategy simply because they believe you are too emotional to notice it. They may underestimate your patience. Let them. You do not have to correct every misunderstanding about you. If someone thinks you are unaware, allowing them to continue believing that can give you time to understand what they are actually doing. Information becomes powerful when you know how to use it responsibly. The purpose of observing someone is not to collect secrets so you can hurt them. The purpose is to protect yourself from manipulation, make better decisions, and recognize danger before it becomes a larger problem. Do not rush to expose everything you know. Not every truth requires an announcement. Sometimes confronting someone too early simply teaches them how to hide their behavior more carefully. If you already understand the pattern, you can choose your next move with greater clarity. The person who observes carefully does not need to be the loudest person in the room. They do not need to prove that they are intelligent. They simply pay attention. And while others are busy trying to win the conversation, you are learning the person behind the words. That knowledge gives you something far more valuable than an argument. The ability to make decisions without being controlled by appearances. The third rule is to become unpredictable. One of the greatest advantages you can have in any conflict is the ability to remain difficult to read. When someone knows exactly how you think, how you react, what makes you angry, what makes you afraid, and what you will do next, they can prepare for you. Predictability gives other people a map of your behavior. If you want to protect your power, stop handing them the map. Most people reveal themselves through repetition. When they are insulted, they become angry. When they are ignored, they chase. When they feel rejected, they immediately try to prove their worth. When someone challenges them, they rush to defend themselves. After seeing these patterns several times, anyone can learn how to manipulate them. They know which words to use, which situations to create, and which emotions to trigger. You do not have to live that way. The moment you begin controlling your reactions, you become harder to manipulate. This does not mean acting strangely or pretending to be someone you are not. It means refusing to give automatic reactions. Instead of responding immediately, pause. Instead of explaining everything, decide whether an explanation is necessary. Instead of announcing your plans, work quietly until the results speak for themselves. An unpredictable person is not someone who behaves randomly. An unpredictable person is someone who cannot be easily controlled because their decisions are based on principles rather than emotions. If someone expects you to become angry, remain calm. If they expect you to chase after them, continue with your life. If they expect you to reveal your next move, keep your plans private. If they expect you to argue, choose silence when silence serves you better. This can be extremely powerful because people often become uncomfortable when they cannot predict another person's response. They begin guessing. They wonder what you are thinking. They question whether their strategy is working. And while they are trying to understand your reaction, you have gained time to think clearly. But there is an important distinction. Becoming unpredictable does not mean playing psychological games with everyone around you. It means becoming emotionally disciplined. Your goal should not be to confuse innocent people or manipulate others. Your goal should be to stop allowing manipulative people to predict and control you. Think about your weaknesses. What usually makes you react? Is it criticism, rejection, disrespect, being ignored, someone questioning your intelligence? Someone succeeding while you struggle? These emotional triggers are valuable information about yourself. If you understand them, you can begin controlling them. The person who knows your weakness may try to use it, but if you already understand your weakness, they lose part of their advantage. Before reacting, create a gap between what happens and what you do. That small gap can completely change the outcome. In that moment, you can ask yourself whether the reaction you are about to give will make your situation better or worse. Sometimes the strongest move is to say nothing. Sometimes it is to walk away. Sometimes it is to respond calmly and firmly. Sometimes it is to change your strategy completely. Your enemy should never be certain that they can push one button and control you. Build a mind that cannot be easily triggered, a character that cannot be easily manipulated, and a strategy that does not need to be announced. When people cannot predict your emotions, they cannot easily use those emotions against you. And when you stop reacting automatically, you stop giving other people control over your next move. The fourth rule is to let your results answer your enemies. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is wasting your energy trying to convince people who have already decided to misunderstand you. When someone wants to believe that you will fail, arguing with them rarely changes their mind. In fact, the more desperately you try to prove yourself, the more power you give them. You place your confidence in their approval and allow their opinion to determine how you feel about yourself. There is another way. Stop explaining and start building. If someone says you cannot succeed, you do not need to spend hours telling them why they are wrong. Improve your skills, strengthen your discipline, work on your goals, build something valuable. Let time create the evidence that words never could. People can argue with your intentions, but they cannot easily argue with consistent results. This is why quiet progress can be so powerful. When you constantly announce what you are going to do, people have an opportunity to judge every step. They can criticize your plans, discourage you, or wait for you to fail. But when you work quietly, your progress becomes difficult to attack because there is nothing to debate. You are simply moving forward. Imagine someone who once underestimated you. Instead of confronting them, you improve yourself every day. You become more disciplined. You become financially wiser. You develop stronger skills. You take better care of your mind and your character. Months later, the person who doubted you may still have the same opinion, but their opinion no longer matters because your reality has changed. That is the difference between seeking validation and creating evidence. You should not build your life merely to prove someone wrong. That still gives your enemy control because your goals are being shaped by them. Build because you have a vision for yourself. Build because you know there is more inside you. Build because your future deserves more than your current limitations. Let your success be a side effect of your self-mastery, not an act of revenge. There will always be people who misunderstand you. Some will criticize you because they are insecure. Some will doubt you because they cannot imagine themselves doing what you are attempting. Others may simply not believe in your potential. You do not have to fight every opinion. You have limited energy. Spend it where it creates something. Instead of asking, how do I make them regret underestimating me? Ask, what can I become that makes their opinion irrelevant? That question changes your entire mindset. Your enemy may expect you to become distracted by their words. Do not give them that satisfaction. Your attention is one of your most valuable resources. Every hour spent arguing is an hour that could have been spent learning. Every day spent proving yourself is a day you could have spent improving yourself. There is a certain power in becoming too focused to be distracted. You do not need to announce your transformation. You do not need to tell everyone that you are becoming stronger. Let the change become visible through your actions. When people see that you are no longer reacting to their criticism, they may realize that their words have lost their influence. When they see that you continue moving forward despite their attempts to discourage you, they may understand that they cannot control your direction. The strongest response to doubt is not anger. It is consistency. Keep working when nobody is watching. Keep improving when nobody applauds. Keep moving when people expect you to quit, because eventually your results will speak in a language that arguments cannot silence. And when your life becomes the evidence, you no longer need to defend yourself. The fifth rule is the most important. Outgrow the conflict. Most people think victory means defeating the person who hurt them, exposing them, humiliating them, or making them regret what they did. But there is a deeper form of victory that requires far less noise and gives you far more freedom. It is the moment when you stop allowing that person to occupy your mind. An enemy becomes powerful when you think about them constantly. You replay their words. You imagine what you should have said. You check what they are doing. You wonder whether they are talking about you. You imagine their reaction if you succeed. Without realizing it, you can spend more time fighting someone in your mind than they ever spent fighting you in reality. That is not power. That is psychological captivity. The way out is to redirect your attention toward yourself. Instead of asking how to defeat them, ask how to improve yourself. Instead of asking how to make them jealous, ask how to make your own life meaningful. Instead of wondering whether they regret losing you, ask whether you are becoming someone you are proud of. This shift is incredibly important because revenge keeps you connected to the person you claim you want to defeat. If every decision you make is designed to prove something to them, they still have influence over you. You may have walked away physically, but mentally you are still following them. Real growth begins when you stop making them the center of your story. Build a life that does not require their approval. Develop your skills, strengthen your discipline, protect your peace, choose better relationships, learn from what happened without allowing what happened to define you. You do not have to forget the lesson simply because you have stopped thinking about the person. In fact, one of the smartest things you can do after dealing with an enemy is to study the experience without becoming obsessed with it. Ask yourself what you missed. What warning signs did you ignore? What boundaries should you have established earlier? What behavior will you never tolerate again? What did the experience teach you about yourself? Take the lesson and leave the emotional burden behind. There is also a difference between forgiveness and allowing someone back into your life. You can release your anger without restoring trust. You can move forward without pretending that nothing happened. You can protect yourself without spending the rest of your life seeking revenge. Sometimes the strongest boundary is distance. You do not need to announce that you are cutting someone off. You do not need a dramatic speech. You simply stop giving access to people who repeatedly disturb your peace. and then you keep moving. Eventually, something strange happens. The person who once occupied your thoughts becomes less important. Their opinions become background noise. Their attempts to provoke you stop producing the reaction they once did. Their success does not threaten you. Their criticism does not define you. Their absence does not control your happiness. That is when you have truly won, not because they lost, but because you stopped needing them to lose. Your greatest revenge should be a life that no longer revolves around the person who tried to bring you down. Become healthier in your thinking, become stronger in your character, become wiser in your choices, become so focused on your future that the old conflict feels smaller every year. Do not spend your life trying to destroy your enemy. Build yourself so completely that the conflict becomes irrelevant. Because the moment you stop giving someone space in your mind, they lose the most valuable thing they ever had: influence over you. The sixth and final principle is this: the ultimate victory is becoming so powerful that your enemy no longer matters. Most people misunderstand power because they think power means controlling other people. They think it means making someone afraid, forcing someone to respect them, or proving that they are stronger. But real power begins when you no longer need another person to validate your strength. If someone can make you angry with a few words, they have influence over you. If someone can ruin your entire day simply by ignoring you, they have influence over you. If someone can make you abandon your goals because they criticized you, they have influence over you. And if you spend your life trying to prove that you are better than them, they still have influence over you. The goal is to remove that influence completely. Imagine reaching a point where your enemy can insult you and you remain focused. They can doubt you and you continue working. They can talk about you and you do not feel the need to defend yourself. They can celebrate your failures and you do not lose your direction. At that point, their behavior has become almost irrelevant to your life. That is a different kind of strength. It does not come from aggression. It comes from self-mastery. You begin to understand that your attention is limited, your energy is limited, your time is limited. Every minute you spend thinking about someone who wants to bring you down is a minute taken away from something that could build your future. So redirect your attention. Learn something valuable, build your career, improve your health, strengthen your relationships with people who genuinely respect you, develop your discipline, create something meaningful, become more capable than you were yesterday. Your enemy may still exist, but they no longer determine the direction of your life. This is where many people make a mistake. They become successful, but they remain emotionally connected to the person they wanted to defeat. They secretly check whether that person has noticed their success. They want them to feel jealous. They want them to regret their actions. They want them to see how far they have come. But if you still need their reaction, you are still giving them power. Freedom comes when you no longer care whether they notice. Let your progress belong to you. You do not need an audience for your transformation. You do not need your enemy to acknowledge that they were wrong. You do not need an apology before you allow yourself to move forward. Sometimes people will never admit what they did. Sometimes they will never understand the damage they caused. Sometimes they will continue believing their own version of the story. Let them. You are not responsible for correcting every person's perception of you. Your responsibility is to control your own actions, protect your values, and decide what kind of person you want to become. There is something almost unbeatable about a person who has nothing left to prove. They cannot easily be manipulated through ego because they are not desperate for recognition. They cannot easily be controlled through insults because they know who they are. They cannot easily be distracted because their attention is invested in something bigger than temporary conflict. That is the level of mastery you should aim for. Do not become obsessed with defeating people. Become obsessed with becoming better. Let your enemy remain trapped in the conflict if they choose. You do not have to stay there with them. Move forward, build quietly, become stronger. And one day, you may look back and realize that the greatest victory was never defeating your enemy. It was becoming someone who no longer needed to.